Welcome to the Perspective Shifted podcast. My name is Andrew. I'm here with George Musa. The idea of this podcast is essentially to raise awareness around people's perspective and to be able to give people a different way to view the world through a different lens. So, George, welcome for coming again.
Thank you. Episode 2.
Episode 2.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, let's talk about that. Episode 1, that was our first one off first cab off the rank. I think we did all right considering.
It's been, I think you got insane engagement.
Incredible engagement.
Yeah. A lot of people have questions, which obviously we're here to answer.
Yeah.
The biggest question is, what does working on yourself mean?
Nice.
So we've got a big rundown of all of this. And
because it's a very vague thing to say, work on yourself.
People just throw it out there.
And again, let's go on perspective. Some people might think it's, just go have a massage and look after yourself or
it's
treat
not about
yourself.
just going to the gym.
Yeah.
And losing weight. That's a quarter of it. There's so much more to working on yourself, and we'll dive deep into it.
Yep.
And see.
Before we do, a bit of feedback, because you've obviously had quite a bit of feedback from the last podcast. Obviously, our environment's changed a little bit since the first one. We stepped it up a little.
See. We turned it up. Yeah, definitely did.
The first one, we pretty much just hit record and just spoke about anything and everything that popped up.
Yeah, winged a lot of
as well.
topics. Went on little rants, but...
And I will apologise to Nabs for the camera dying halfway through.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nabs. But we still had his audio at least, so he had some good golden nuggets that he gave us. But from that, there was surprisingly an overwhelmingly amount of people that came forward to say, holy
messaging
shit.
me, reaching out. A lot of people message saying they're going to take what we said and incorporate it into their relationships, which was mind-blowing to hear that.
So many people resonating with what we've said.
Yeah. Honestly, I was expecting about 50 views on the actual full podcast.
Yeah.
I think we're at about 220 now.
Which,
in
that's
2 weeks. Which
I thought it was a mistake.
Yeah. For two boys who haven't done this for very long.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Well, I think if we can stick to just being real rather than... And, I'll preface by saying we are not trained professionals yet.
Not yet.
But we're just sort of speaking experience from what we've gone through and essentially first-hand experience rather than relaying second, third, fourth, fifth hand. So it's important to just be real and just be authentic about how we're delivering what we're delivering. And hopefully it connects with people and people can reach out and feel that they've got a safe space to talk, because I think we're talking about working on ourselves. I think creating a safe space with people to have that conversation is important.
Definitely. People have already reached out a bit, asked questions. I'll do my best to answer. Sometimes there's a lot of people, it's like 20 or 30 DMs.
That's awesome.
Sometimes it's the same thing. So I'll do my best, but we're going to cover a lot today.
All right, let's kick off because I think the biggest question, what does working on yourself actually mean?
Yeah.
So you want to fire off?
Yeah. So working on yourself means investing time and effort to improve not only your physical, but your mental well-being. I think where everyone should start is the self-awareness. You need to be aware of the problems and the issues you're going through to be able to move forward and to be able to enhance your overall quality of life. Areas to work on would be like self-awareness, emotional intelligence, personal growth, mental health, physical health, boundaries as well, and self-compassion and self-love. As I showed you during the week, we won't put a name to it, but it was a good-looking girl, and she's very open on her Instagram, bikini photo shoots and stuff like that, but she posted a photo of her crying with an essay that big. And I sent it to you, and I was like, that's insanity. She spoke about everything that we speak about, not being worthy enough. But look how she looks.
And stereotypically, you'd think she'd be on top of the world.
100%.
She'd have the world at her feet.
She has all the validation she needs, but
And-
yet she's not happy.
That's a common trait I'm finding.
Definitely is.
The people who look overconfident are not.
And that's right. It's what I found is more so the good-looking people are the most insecure people. Right?
Wow.
That's what I found, and past experiences have shown me that. And obviously, friends who are dating good-looking people tell me their stories and their issues, and it's across the board, right? It's crazy that you can be better than average looking
On the outside.
on the outside. But what I found is that they are the most insecure and also the most toxic. Not everyone, obviously not everyone, but a fair few.
And self-awareness doesn't discriminate. I mean,
No,
you don't have to be attractive or unattractive for you to be suffering from that self-awareness,
No.
right? But it's an incredible insight to see. When you sent me that, I honestly thought, is that almost like a clickbait?
yeah, I had to read it twice. I literally had to read it twice. And then when I went onto the profile, I saw she had another one up there. And I was like, what the hell? And she's keeping it up there for people to see
Yeah.
that she's broken. Only she can help herself.
We'll get started with that anyway.
Yeah.
Because vulnerability, big platform to show your vulnerability.
Oh, yeah. We're talking tens of thousands of followers. Tens of thousands.
But hopefully that starts a conversation with someone genuine.
Yeah. And, she may reach out to someone who says something that triggers her to go and seek that help. She did put another post up, is anyone a professional in helping someone? Hopefully someone did answer her cry and is willing to help her. It's sad to see. So young as well, 22 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that ties into the self-awareness. So that's the first thing we said about working on ourselves, self-awareness. So acknowledging and identifying that things are not working.
Yeah, and that you need help.
And looking internally rather than, blame game of everyone or everything in my
It
life.
always starts with you. It always starts and ends with you. You got to understand your thoughts, understand your emotions, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your values.
Values, that for me, that pops out more than anything else.
Like
You got to know who you are
Yes.
and what you stand for.
And a lot of people say, I don't know who I am, or I'm lost. I don't know what to do next. Or what to do next is realizing that, shit, I need help. I shouldn't want to feel like this every day, right? You shouldn't wake up, go to work and come home and cry yourself to sleep. Or feel that you're not worthy enough to be with a guy or a girl. Or start and finish relationships abruptly, so quick, so soon. Yeah, there's a lot to go through.
Around that self-awareness, it's almost like an audit of yourself to some degree. Would you say that?
Yeah. Yep.
To be able to sit down and go, all right, cool. What's working? What's not working?
Yep.
And what can I do to change it?
And some people can't audit themselves. So I think if someone mentions it to you, don't take it as an attack. Don't say, no, that's not me. Or I don't do that. If you're giving those reactions, then you are. Right?
It's going into it with an open mind.
Yes. Yes.
A quote that I absolutely love is, mind is like a parachute. It works better when it's open.
That's a nugget.
One of my favorites.
That's your reel.
That's my reel.
That's your reel.
Let's move on to emotional intelligence, which I think is a big point. Big point, not so much in existing relationships, but even through dating scene and meeting people and things like that. But generally in your life, emotional intelligence of how to have empathy for people, how to build strong foundations with people, and relationships within yourself too, right?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate probably more on the emotional attachment intelligence?
You should try and develop skills to manage your emotions. Emphasize with others to build stronger relationships. Is it easy? No. It's probably the hardest thing to do. Because you got to get to a point where you got to be so hard on yourself that it forces you to change, forces you to want to do that. Out of the whole working on yourself, that's probably going to be the hardest thing to do. And, as you know, the more skills you have in life, the easier your life will be. Whether it be, develop skills for making money or developing skills for talking to people or helping people or whatever situation you want to put it in. Developing the skills will be the hardest, but probably the most rewarding.
How about personal growth? So, personal growth, that's an inside job, right? I've heard someone say success is an inside job.
It is. You should set goals and try and reach them. Don't give up too early before you've reached a goal. It's like starting a new business. You're not going to make money in 6 months or a year or probably even 2 years. 80% of businesses fail because they gave up too early. Challenge yourself to step out of your comfort zone. I think everyone likes to sit back in that comfort zone because it's comfortable, right?
Let's talk about that, because that comfort zone is a very dangerous place to be.
It's probably the worst place to be. This is out of our comfort zone.
Badly. And I'm sure people, if they're listening on Spotify, can hear the nervousness in our voice, how we're talking.
But it's getting easier.
We're very passionate, but it's getting easier the more we talk about
easier.
it.
The more we do it, it's getting easier. Before I started today, I was like, how many times did I go, oh man, my throat hurts, I've got to go cough, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to stand like this frozen, That's just, the nerves are always going to kick in.
Nah, look, I think finding comfort in discomfort is, I think, the superpower.
It's the best thing you can do. It's the best thing you can do. But yeah, you definitely got to challenge yourself. When you mentioned you wanted to start something like this, I said to myself, all right, one day. Why one day? Why not now? And I said to you, around 2 weeks, let's do it. Let's do it. And I think that if you and I were a year ago, we wouldn't have done it.
I agree.
Because I cared what people thought about me. People don't want to watch my content. They don't have to watch my content. They don't want to listen to me. That's fine. If they think what I'm saying is full of shit, that's fine. Turn it off. But I was like, I don't want to do it because people are going to laugh, or people are going to say, oh, what an idiot, or whatever it may be that goes through your head. And it's always a negative thought. But yeah, over the last year, we've both worked on ourselves enough to get to a point to say, you know what, we're going to start it. That's it. And if it helps people, it helps people. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we're going to try.
It'll help us. This is free therapy for me.
Yeah, 100%. We had a therapy session outside.
Yeah. What you said about one day. I like to reframe that, and from a different perspective, instead of saying one day, you turn it into day one.
Another nugget.
Very easy.
Yeah.
And that can be the determining factor between you staying in your comfort zone and feeling safe, or growing and leveling up. And I think the hardest part is the day one.
Yeah.
Anything, you've been going to the gym years and stuff like that, right? It's never easy when you first start the gym.
No, definitely.
When you keep going, day 30 looks very different to day one.
Oh, 100%. You just got to take that leap. And once you take that leap, everything else will fall into place.
Mental health, which is pretty much, this is the bubble of mental health. And although we speak about men's mental health, it's very general to everybody, really. Personal growth is not biased to one gender or another.
That's right.
But mental health is, like, for me, it's a passion to raise awareness around it, because you hear of commercial companies sort of raise mental health. Let's fundraise for this, fundraise for that. But a simple conversation can go such a long way.
Yeah, and when we speak about mental health, like, what does that actually mean? What are they doing to raise awareness? Okay, yeah, people go for runs and donate this, but is anyone sitting down to have that conversation and say, hey, are you managing your stress? Are you eliminating your stress from your life? It's a big factor, because stress then turns into depression. And some people say depression is real, some people say it's not real. Look, I would say I have been depressed in the past. It was more, I was stuck in something that I couldn't get out. And, probably my brother and my mum are the ones that got me out of it. But for a couple of years, it was really bad,
What does it feel like?
When you have no distractions, so you go to work, it's okay. Minute you come home, you put your phone down, you don't want to talk to anyone, you don't want to see anyone. I didn't go to events, I didn't go to weddings, didn't go to christenings. I told everyone, yeah, I'm coming. I didn't rock up. I couldn't face being around people. That's how I felt. I just wanted to be alone, watch TV, watch movies, and just not have to interact. I would put on a facade just to go to work and pretend you're happy, just so no one would ask questions. Like, come to work, you're smiling, you're laughing. So no one's saying, hey, are you all right? Like, what's wrong? But, yeah, when you get home, you're broken.
And that's repetitive, right?
Every day. That's how you feel every day. Every day until, and you would hope people don't use that to get into drugs or alcohol and stuff like that. But a lot of people medicate like that. For me, it was just to be just left alone. But that's not everyone.
I know we're going off a tangent here, but what would you say was your turning point?
Hitting rock bottom. I was up here. Always, my whole life. I told you in the last podcast.
We were talking, yeah.
People call me Musa the King. Musa the King. You're so good. You got so much money. You got this, you got that. But I hit rock bottom. And I needed help to get out. It was probably around 2018, 2019 where that hit me. And then my brother kept pushing, my mum kept pushing, and we got through it.
Would you say that it was them pushing, or something triggering you to say, well, I've got to do something?
When you're down that low, you need someone to get you back up. You can't just get out of it by yourself. Look, some people might be able to just wake up, snap out of it and say, I'm not going to do that. I couldn't. And I'm telling you, a lot of other people wouldn't be able to either.
That's because when people say, you've got to do the work yourself and all that kind of thing, the idea, obviously, from what I'm hearing, is if you let it go and let it fester for that long, you can get to a point where you can't get yourself out.
That's right. Yeah.
You need that lifeline.
That's right. And that's why don't be afraid to ask for help.
So you're better off reaching out on the way down than
before you get to the end.
The bottom.
Yeah, because once you're at the end, it's a dark place. It's a dark place. And I said, especially if you try and medicate it, it's a fucking dark place.
It's a Band-Aid, right?
Yeah. So don't ever be afraid to reach out. If you can't talk to your family, try and talk to your friends. If you can't talk to your friends, talk to someone at work. But let people know what's going on with you. And don't be embarrassed. Don't be shy. Just tell someone something. It might just spark that one key word that you need to wake you up. Or to put you in a right mind frame to be like, okay, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. I got me.
Man, there's been so many times in my life that I wouldn't say depression, but just feeling down. And just one key sentence phrase someone that has said in a random conversation that's completely changed my perspective on how I looked at it every day, day in, day out. And then just that different approach made me look at it in an entirely different way. I actually was with someone yesterday, a client of mine who I used to do a lot of work for, and then they got busier. I wasn't getting, I didn't level up the business, so they found someone else. So I was only doing a little bit of their work. And then randomly, they called me to do a bit of work for them, and I saw them yesterday, and we started chatting after I finished all the shoot. Mind you, I've never known about this guy, his personal life, anything like that. 10-minute conversation. He's given me some mindset books that he's been reading to get him out of a dark spot.
Wow.
And this is the most random of people that I thought I'd never connect with like that.
Yeah.
But we related so much, and he was gobsmacked of what I was saying to him, and vice versa. So it's just crazy. You never know. I guess you never know who's hurting or who's suffering.
Yeah. From face value, you can never tell.
The mask people put on
And
is
it's insane.
next level. No one can
insane.
pick. People say, yeah, I can see your body language, but people have mastered the art of masking.
Oh, 100%. And you know what? It's what I've found. It's the people who've got money. It's the rich.
Is it just the rich?
It's not just the rich, but
But
I think a fair
would you say
majority of them are the ones that are using money to get that validation that they need.
to sedate themselves from dealing with the problem?
Yes.
Would you say that?
Yep. Definitely.
So it's more surprising in seeing rich or wealthy people unhappy because you think you've got money. Like, how could you be unhappy?
Yeah.
So I guess it's more surprising to see it from them. Is that what you sort of alluding to?
Because obviously money gets to a point where it can't make you happy anymore. So you and I worked to buy a house. We bought the house. Then we work hard to get the new car. Once you get to a stage where you can buy a $10 million house or you can buy a $5 million Bugatti, what's next? Where can you go next? A $50 million house? And once you get a $50 million house, what day-to-day things can then make you happy? There's nothing. Because you're right up here. Jeff Bezos buys a $150 million house.
Yeah, and you just...
What in his day-to-day would make him happy? There's no more to go. You can't climb anymore. You're right at the top. So you get to the top and then you're like, what's next?
Yeah, we spoke about it in the last podcast about money not equaling happiness, but more comfort and luxuries of life.
Yeah.
So we won't repeat that. But going back to mental health, I think, what you said about just prioritizing in reaching out when you need to.
Yep.
You mentioned stress management. There's a lot of people that say, it is what it is. What do you do?
I hate that term, but
Isn't it? But it just happens so often, and I've been a culprit of that too, where you're not happy in that situation, and you know you don't like the situation, but you just shrug your shoulders.
Yeah, but what do you do about it? Management.
And what do you say you do?
Manage the stress. Don't let the stress manage you.
Tick.
Real. Golden nugget.
You know what? I've got all sound effects here. I'm going to make a sound effect for that.
Yeah.
I guess that's the difference between, people talking or people doing. Because you can say, what are you going to do, and complain about it many times. When we had this conversation just before we started here, you said, there's people that I'm going to do the gunners. I'm going to do this, gonna.
That's right.
And I think we've all been there. I know I've been there. Until you raise awareness around it and you're like, follow through, man. Just
100%.
don't
take
say
the
it.
leap. Take the leap.
It's the early gratification. It's one thing a mate of mine told me, is that you get so caught up in the idea of doing it that you almost, they do say you almost get like a dopamine hit when you think of an idea. Even this podcast studio, it was an idea for me. I was happy to sit on that couch like we did last time, but I'm like, no, I want to do this. And
I'm glad we have. Look at
and I was thinking, I was getting excited thinking about what it's going to look like. And then I just had a brain snap. I'm like, I can sit and fantasize about it for a month of Sundays. But that night I sat down and I ordered these and this and the table and the chairs, and I'm just like, fuck it, let's just do it.
100%.
And mate, 3 days ago, I sat there looking back like the proudest fucking punch, going, fucking, we did it.
Yeah.
Like we didn't just think it, we didn't just fantasize it forever. We fucking made it happen.
We did it.
And that's the win. So it's good to.
It's good to have those little wins.
Yeah, man. It's a simple win. For someone else, it might be a big deal, dude. You've got a chair, table, but it's a win. It's a win, whichever way you want to take it. Physical health. So that's another aspect of working on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best at this at the moment. Like, I did have a good body when I was younger. Focus on nutrition, exercise. I'm the worst sleeper. I go to sleep at 12, 1 o'clock, and I get up at 6:30. I've done it my whole life.
Every day.
Yeah, I've done it my whole life. I can't sleep before 12 or 1 o'clock, so I probably don't sleep enough. Lucky to get 6 hours. You know, on top of that, sleep apnea and stuff like that. But if you can focus on eating better, exercising, even self-care routines. I've been seeing a lot of people going to infrared saunas, 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Have you tried it?
I've been in it once, yeah.
That is nuts.
It's intense.
Oof.
And they're cranking it to like 60, and I'm like, bro, I had it on 40, I was dying. But to do it at 10:30 at night, I'll take my hat off to you that. You know, they're posting a story, they're at work in the day, and then at 10:30 at night, they're getting off the couch or out of bed, and then even going to the gym at 10 o'clock at night is, if I don't get straight off to work, I'm not going. You know, it's crazy, but some people are determined. Take that determination and apply it to all other areas of your life. You know, not just that one physical part.
Because a lot of people, when you hear physical health, first thing you think of is no Maccas. But there's so much more to physical health.
Yeah.
And you actually raised a good point. Sleep. I got to say I was like you. And in my line of work, editing late at night, coffees, binge eating.
Yeah.
Just to stay awake.
The later you stay, the more rubbish you put in your body.
100%.
Like, even like when I find that I'm gaming, and if it's a Friday night or a Saturday night, I just stay home to game. I'm like, 12 o'clock. Oh, man, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
What do? Uber Eats.
12 o'clock?
Yeah, bro.
Who the fuck's open at 12 o'clock?
Macca's, pizza, Turkish kebabs.
CK's, the fucking Canterbury kebabs.
It's been ugly, man. Then you wake up in the middle of the night and your stomach's turning, you can't sleep, you got the meat sweats. You're like, why did I do that?
Shouldn't have done that.
Shouldn't have done that.
So with the sleep, man, that's what I started cycling a few years back, and I had to be up at 5 o'clock. So then I started going to bed at like 10 or 9. Very hard. Because I have to be comatized, like literally have to be to go to sleep.
To sleep, yeah.
And then I learned, going to sleep, put your phone down. They say about phones down.
30 minutes or an hour, or sit in a dark room for an hour.
It fucking works.
Yeah, 100%.
I was very skeptical. And then I tried it, and I'm like, as if I'm going to force, I'm just like, I'm fucking wide awake. And then I'm sleeping. I'm like, how the fuck? And you wake up so much more fresh.
Yeah, it definitely works.
Never been a morning person, but they, minimum 6 hours, 7 hours.
6 hours is the minimum. 6 to 8 is good. If I sleep 8 hours plus, I don't feel good when I wake up.
It's funny. If I do 7, I'm sweet. 8, I look like a zombie in the morning.
Yeah, I wake up with a headache.
Yeah. You're like, did I sleep? I slept too much. So it's finding the sweet spot. Yeah. But sleep is a big, big part of your physical health. And gym and being active. One thing that I had heard is just about, standard, just being at least 30 minutes of exercise, getting your heart rate up. Exercise is not, it's very vague, but it's about getting your heart rate up.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what form of exercise you do, just something. Even getting steps in.
Yeah, man. And
it's fine.
It does. You feel better. It's true. It's true. And it makes you feel more confident, especially things like going to the gym. If you go to the gym, just getting to the gym is a win.
Yeah, that's right.
It's you're respecting your own body and yourself by saying, I didn't just say it, I did it.
Yeah, you came here.
So, yeah. Anyway, I'm not one to talk too much about physical health at the moment.
Me neither.
I'm having a fat day.
We
boundaries and communication.
Yeah, it's about setting healthy limits. Express yourself and find where you want to be, and not forget that communication is also about listening. It's a two-way street. It's not just a one-way street. If you can listen, you can also listen to yourself inside. Because what I found was sometimes I used to fight myself. And I would be like, nah, why am I thinking like that? I would think it, but I wouldn't think it out loud. And then I would fight myself over it. Sometimes it gets you to a point where you're borderline thinking, am I going crazy? You know? Am I going crazy?
Well, who knows you better than you?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's the
try and get the thoughts out of your head and either into someone else's head or into play. And just do it.
Take action. It's the one thing my coaches always used to say. Take action.
Take action.
There's a lot more we can unpack with communication.
Yeah. We'll finish off with personal growth is a lifelong journey. Just keep that in mind.
I need my, but you know what?
Nugget.
Hang on. Oh, not that. Hang on. Sorry. How about? No, not that one. Hang on. Oh,
we found it.
Found it.
Found it.
Yeah. All right. We're into 30 minutes, so let's continue on. Mate, from all the feedback you got, what was where do you want to go? Where do you want to go with it?
A lot of people are asking me about attachment styles.
A lot of people connected with the avoidant you were talking about. I've got quite a few messages about that too.
Did you?
Because they were like, you know, I've never heard the phrase. And they started going, oh my God, I've experienced that. Because you
do that, or that's me to a T, or I showed you one guy said, "But are you talking about my life?"
Yeah.
And I was like, no. What do you mean? I'm not talking about your life. He's like, but everything you're saying is about me. Like, I thought you've been talking to someone about me. I was like, no, man. No.
There was
it's the same across the board.
And it's funny because before I had spoken to you, I never knew what avoidant was. And then you realize, oh shit, I've seen that. I've seen traits of that in people. So it helps you, again, it's just raising the awareness and looking at it not just by saying, they're lost, or they're a bitch, or he's a dickhead, whatever. There's actual evidence behind what, you know, and 100%. There is behavior.
It's not just someone made up.
Tell me, because we've made notes this time just so we don't go off tangents every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
they say that there are 4 main types of attachment styles. First one being is a secure attachment, which is probably the one that everyone should want to reach. Then you've got an anxious attachment, which probably 50% of people are anxious because anxiety breeds. And I think probably the worst one I would say is the dismissive avoidant. And then after dismissive, you're fearful avoidant. You can be both dismissive and fearful. Now,
can you unpack it a little and give a little bit of an example?
We'll start off with the worst one, dismissive.
Because that's what you touched on last time, right? That's the one that a lot of people had a lot of engagement with.
Yeah, dismissive and fearful were the ones that I was seeing the most and the ones people were commenting to the most. So basically when children have their caregivers who are uninterested in either their physical or emotional well-being, kind of like the type of people that have kids for the sake of having kids but then don't want to raise kids, right? It's just like, I worked all day. What do you want? Just leave me alone. I'm tired, right? Those types of parents that want space is what breeds the dismissive avoidant always getting dismissed, always getting pushed to the side. That's what turns people into being a dismissive avoidant and breeding the space situation, right? I don't want to deal with you. I need space. Leave me alone. After that, it's probably more the fearful avoidant, where their caregivers, whether it be your parents or whoever raised you, is unpredictable with their own emotions. Some days they might be loving, other days they're on a bar of you. Or even abusive. Because when someone's abusive towards you, you're always going to have a fear, right? So then you are going to take those fears into your relationships, whether it be a partner or a friend or even working relationships. I know people who don't have any friends, are single, and they never make friends at work. It's just their workmates. Who wants to live like that? Anxiety is a massive one.
Big topic.
Big topic. I don't think people talk about it enough. 70% of things that you're scared of is your anxiety talking. And when you have to be, how do I word it? If you're unpredictable to someone, it's always going to make you feel anxious.
It's like you're walking on eggshells.
Yes. And it goes back to, you can put it back to people who have borderline personality disorder and dating them. You're always anxious. You always feel anxious around them because you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what you're going to wake up to. You don't know what you're going to get to sleep to. Every day is a roller coaster. And the anxiety just breeds more and more and more till you can't cope. Becoming in a secure attachment style, I don't even think I'm there yet. And it's probably been a couple of years. It takes a very long time. If you're comfortable with intimacy and being close to people, you're pretty much a secure attachment. So your wife leaves you, okay. You like a girl or a guy, they pull away from you, oh well. You need to be comfortable with being single. You need to be comfortable with being alone. And if you can do that, you have no stress. No stress means no anxiety. No anxiety creates a whole different outlook on life.
Does that, when you mentioned about the relationship, does that sort of fall into categories of work, for example? You don't get that job, wasn't for me.
Everything. Nothing should bother you, because if you don't attach yourself to an outcome, there's nothing to get upset over.
I want to be that person.
Yeah. Never attach yourself to an outcome. That's what a secure person does. If something doesn't go your way or doesn't happen, doesn't matter. There's another opportunity. There's another job. There's another girl. There's another guy. How much less would you be upset if you thought like that?
If that isn't the definition of perspective shifted, I don't know what is. Because that is the reality.
That's right. That's right. But to get to that point is years. I'm talking years of working on yourself. We've gone into now what working on yourself is. It's not going to happen overnight. And as I said, I've been doing it for years, and still now I'm like, oh, shit, didn't go my way. I get upset.
But you redirect, right? I think I find when people are on this path and they've got this vision and they're doing well, and then the smallest thing just doesn't go according to plan, how much it can derail them.
Oh,
I mean, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of myself here, but there have been a lot of times in my life that I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking killing it. I'm going well. And then just the smallest of speed bumps, just something that just goes, fuck, off course. I get ridden off. I'll like stop in my tracks or like go, oh, fuck, hands up, I'm done. But it's, if you have...
Yeah, like just the other week when I messaged you, I was like, it's been 2 days, mate. You're
Yeah,
alive?
I was
like, you're like, oh, I had a long week or busy. I was like, it's been 2 days, bro. Where are you been?
It killed my vibe.
Yeah.
And it's, I think that's if...
And that goes back to you're not secure yet. So you were feeling anxious and anxiety was kicking in and you didn't want to talk to anyone.
I closed up. I actually got, even my coach reached out to me. He's like, Andrew, you haven't attended the call. I haven't seen yet what's going on. You did the same thing. Yep. Another mate of mine.
And I knew it. And I knew it 100%.
That's what it was.
I didn't just say, where are you? What do you do? I said, bro, are you okay? You want to talk? Talk. Because I know your patterns. You don't go a couple hours without replying. A couple hours because you're busy or you're working or whatever. A day is strange. 2 days, I know there's an issue because I know people now.
Yeah.
I know how you act. So when something's not in place, we are creatures of habit. We can't break habits very easily, right?
That's huge.
Yeah. So your habits are you're always on your phone. You're always doing content. You're always working. You're always available. So when you weren't available, I was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong.
It takes I think the more you work on yourself, the more you can bounce back in a lesser time frame.
Yes.
So what I've experienced is where things were going well and then I got a curveball, I might just disconnect for 2 weeks before I can get myself back into my rhythm. And what I've noticed now is that I need, let's say, 48 hours to realign myself to go, all right, bad day, not bad life. Deal with it.
There's nothing wrong with that. And everyone is going to go through that. It just don't let it fall into, again, avoiding it. Right? Face it, face what the issue was, and overcome it. And so however you want to face it, you do it. But don't avoid it and let it go 2 weeks. 2 days is a long time to face a situation. 2 weeks is becoming avoidant.
This is becoming a therapy session.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
I just thought that I dead set went through this like, fuck, I've got some big hurdles now. This is going to just I can't get through this. And self-talk and what you mentioned before about self-love, self-compassion, self-love. I had that conversation with myself. I don't know if I've told you this. I've got a GoPro in my car.
No, you haven't.
Okay. My therapist is my GoPro. I've got a GoPro that faces me.
Yeah.
And every time I'm processing something or want to just talk it out rather than just internalize it, because, as you said before, most of the time the problem gets bigger if it's just in your head.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just write it down or say it out loud, all of a sudden, a lot of the problems just fall away and you get to the brass tacks of like what the problem is. I speak to myself on a daily.
That's good.
Whether it's in the morning, afternoon, whatever, I just decompress. And that's one of my ways of my outlet. And I guarantee you that has saved me from having a problem this big to this big just by 100%. Getting it out of me.
100%.
And it's got me through getting back on track a lot faster.
See, I don't speak, but I write things. And I can show you.
Do you type? Do you write it in your phone?
So I'll put notes. So this is like stuff with my daughter.
Yeah.
And then I write down what she said to me and what I felt when she said that,
How good is that?
Yeah. It's, you can go back and read it or you can go back and watch it.
Mate.
And you can remember it.
That just writing that experience down, I know for most people it'll be a strange thing to do, right? It'll be like in the moment it happened, I'll remember it. But the truth is you don't.
No, that's right. That's right.
writing stuff down in situations like that, and I've done something like that, where I've come back to it weeks later, and then you start to realize your own patterns of like how they felt when you did this, or vice versa.
Like a mini journal.
It's awesome. As I said in the last podcast, I'm a big fan of journaling.
Yeah.
And it gets the best out of you, I feel. You almost realize, I have in my journaling realized things about myself that I wouldn't have if I didn't express it.
Yeah.
And there are some things, like we said before, reaching out to talk to someone about. And if it's too personal and you want to keep it within, you can still write it down, and it's a way of expressing it to something rather than internalizing. Because the reality is, there's only so much your body can take. Nab said this in the last podcast. I'm just trying to remember what he said, but he said that like our bodies weren't built for storage.
Yeah.
We're not meant to just store everything.
That's right.
And this is why you see people have heart attacks and why they have like literal mental breakdowns and all that kind of stuff. It's because they're just compressing, you know? So it's better to express than to suppress.
That's the one. That's the one. Okay. I think
there's a topic that I want to talk to you about, but what else do you want to talk about? Because there's one thing that I've probably had more conversations with lately than anything else. And it's more around men's mental health. What do you want to do? Do you want to talk about relationships, or do you want to talk about...
I think we should just finish on overcoming your fears and anxiety.
Yeah, definitely.
First thing you need to do is obviously face them. Acknowledge that they're there. Yesterday, I hate heights. We went through this, yeah? And my daughter said, I want to go on the Ferris wheel. I don't know if you've seen her little swearing. I said, I ain't going up there. She goes, no, we're going. I said, I'm not going up there. Look, it's big. The KISS one is big. Well, I went up there. And you know what? I was shitting myself.
Yeah.
For about 30 seconds. And when I did one full turn, I was like, it's not that bad.
Isn't that crazy?
And then when I got off, I was like, oh, is it over already?
You just broke the mold.
Broke the mold. Face your fears. Try and change your negative patterns.
So on the next podcast, George is going to go climb the harbour bridge.
You know what? I think that's a good idea.
Hey, comfort in discomfort.
I think that's a good idea.
That could be your milestone moment.
Yeah,
Either that or you'll be on the news.
Yeah, some of them jump off.
Get me down. So let's say we're talking to someone now who's heard us and gone, fuck, I need to make a change in my life.
Yep.
And they're going to start with the self-awareness. Where do we go? What do they do? Because you touched on, you started touching on the fact of assessing and, you know, your anxieties, your stresses, where do you go from there?
Once you're aware that you need help, I think it's a good idea to talk to someone about it who you feel comfortable telling. You don't need to take in what they are saying. Give yourself a chance to get it out of here and express it, and then see how you feel after. You may not need anything else. You might just have needed to get it off your chest, and it could feel like a weight's been lifted off you. Try that first. I'm not telling you to go and see a doctor and get a psychiatrist or get a coach or spend any money. Talk to a family member or a friend or someone that, even if you're just talking to someone over Instagram, you never even met them, but you just have DMs, talk to them about it and see how you feel first. Then reassess the situation and say, you know what, that helped me, but is there someone that can give me some guidance? A lot of people listen and don't have a lot of life experience to tell you how they coped with that situation, or they may have never experienced it. But get it out, and once it's out, you'll know what to do next.
I think there's it's very therapeutic in just getting it out. Being able to just, oh my God, a weight's been lifted.
Yeah.
It's out there now. I guess where would you, for me, I would feel that coaching and then things like that is where you need that push. You need that
started with
accountability.
I haven't used a psychiatrist or anything like that, but
And there's nothing wrong with, if anyone wants to reach
nothing
out.
wrong with it whatsoever. If anything, you should encourage people to seek help, even in a relationship. And we made some notes here somewhere. People don't work as a team, and you should encourage someone to seek help if you feel that they need it. I wouldn't say make someone feel like they do need it, but at least try and make them aware. If you can make them aware, then they can make their own decisions of what they want to do with their own life.
And make them feel that it's okay that they can go seek help.
Don't be ashamed of it. The ones who laugh at it are the ones who need it the most. They're the ones that need it the most.
I think in this day and age, almost I would say, not to blanket or generalize, but I feel to some degree everyone needs like someone to reach out to, because everyone is going through something, whether it's a death, whether it's a divorce, whether it's financial issues, whether it's family issues. There's a lot of people that are holding it in.
Oh, yeah. And it's the worst thing you can do. You should prioritize your mental health first and prioritize communication and be open about it. If you don't, you're not going to have good relationships with not only partners, but friends, family. Everything's going to suffer around you.
It really just doesn't serve you.
Clients, that's right.
What is mental health to you? What would you define it as?
What would I define it as?
If I was to say, give me a definition in your opinion of what mental health is.
Facing problems is probably the biggest one for me. I've always pushed them aside. And, I think my mum still says it, that, my brother's the open one and George is in his shell. I was never much of a talker. Even with my own family and my friends, I was always listening. I didn't feel the need to want to talk. But I always knew that was an issue. Right? You shouldn't feel that you can't express yourself.
Is that why they say you got to be careful for the quiet ones?
Yeah, I think so. Some people say the quiet ones are the better ones. I don't think so. I think that you should be able to walk into a room and feel like I belong here. I'm comfortable here. Not want to avoid going into that room full of people or speaking to that person. Yeah.
So essentially, it's would you say it's being comfortable in your own skin to be in any environment?
And who is?
Rare.
I don't think anyone is. I don't think anyone is. We don't like our body. We don't like our skin. We don't like our hair. And what do? Go and get boob jobs.
Change it.
Ass jobs, lipo, men getting all these things in their faces and filler and lips and...
I think men more than women lately.
Yeah. The things I'm seeing. Oh,
yeah.
My God.
Anyway, each to their own, right?
Yeah. We'll leave that topic.
I would say, for me, mental health is about finding inner peace. Because all those words you said before about about stress and about frustration, depression, anger, all that kind of stuff, it's all noise. If you can slow down enough to find your own inner peace in any surrounding, you're a fucking winner. I feel if you can get closer to that, and my favorite word that my coaches have told me is you're unfuckwithable.
That's true. That's true.
And that is, as you said before, I think you touched on the secure attachment style. I'm not saying you can't be empathetic or you can't have, you're not emotionalist. You still feel things, but if you can be able to look at a perspective of, that's okay. Just if it's not for me, let it go. In all facets of life, and you're still good with you, like you don't lose yourself in trying to achieve something else, you're winning. And I think that's the best quality of life, when you've got inner peace.
I totally agree. We should all strive to want to get there. As I said, it's the hardest thing to get.
Because we're more striving to have the house, the car, the holidays.
Because we always want. And what do we do when we want? We go. We don't allow things to come to us. I want to find love. So I'm going to go and message 50 girls. I want to make more money. I'm going to apply for 50 jobs. Same thing I said last week. My wife left me. My girlfriend left me. I want to go and chase her. Sit back and relax and do nothing. That's when things will come. Shift the energy. Because when you have a needy energy, things will not go your way. So if you can sit back and be calm and feel secure about it, the situation that you want the most will happen.
Hang on. That breaks the tension. Yeah. Man, it's just so true, honestly. Like, and you briefly touched on that the last time as well. And a lot of people were like, oh, fuck. They couldn't believe, because, again, the natural reaction is to keep hunting, to keep chasing. But sometimes you just got to let it be.
Yeah. And when you're not looking for something is when it's going to happen. When you're not looking for a relationship, someone amazing always walks in your life. When you're not hunting for that job that's going to pay you more, opportunities always come up. But when you're constantly being needy, I need this, it doesn't come to you.
It's funny because even when you get that, you're still needing more.
Yeah.
It's that forever want.
It's the ego. Once your ego, and I had a look at how many views I was getting on my reels. I was like, man, 1,700. I was like, but what about 2,000? See? Because now I'm being needy about getting the views, it's not going to happen. And what happened? That one slowed down at 1,700. The other one slowed down at 1,600 because I needed to get more. Crazy. And now it stopped because it went from 100, 400, 600, and like in hours, it went to 1,000. Then it went from 1,000 to like 1,300. And I was like, I'm getting 2,000 on this one. I'm getting it. And I was checking it. And then it stopped. And I was like, oh, I was probably too needy.
Bubble burst.
Yeah.
Far out. What else are we going to talk about?
I think we will just brush up on intimacy and emotional connections.
Nice. It ties in with what I wanted to talk about as well. I've had a lot of conversations with men in the last weeks, months, year about just losing themselves in work and life and kids and all that kind of stuff. It's a very popular topic. And a lot of people are aware.
Very easy to do.
A lot of guys are aware of it. But as I said before, it's what can I do? And then you offer a different perspective of, have you tried this? Or what would it look like if you did this? And then you just see them perk up and say, oh, fuck, I never thought of that. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last time, but there was a friend of mine who, I told him about my separation and, he's sort of freaked out a bit. And then we started talking and I just said, I've learned a lot and it's helped me grow and learn. And he was sort of comfortable to share with me, I'm sort of going through similar things, not through the separation, but just disconnection, emotional
connection.
Emotional connection lost. It's and I understand for women too, they lose the identity of a woman, and it's more about just being the mum,
Yeah.
and that's obviously hard. And then you fall into the trap of, I'm going to work to provide, as we touched on before.
Yeah.
And I said, mate, what would it be like if you just said on a Thursday night, my parents will look after the kids and we'll just go have the dinner date together. He's like, oh yeah, but man, if I can work. I'm like, oh cool, man. I said, just as an idea. I said, I'm just throwing a perspective out for you. You know, a week later he did it. Aside from the fact that his wife thought something was up because she asked like, why? Why? Like, what's happening? Is are you okay? Is there something wrong? Because it was such a change to what has become the norm.
Yeah, because people don't work as a team, right, in a relationship. And a big reason is because they're closer to their friends instead of their partner. So I bet you he goes out with his friends, but doesn't take his wife out. You know? Very easy for him to say to his mate, bro, let's go to the pub, let's go watch the Bulldogs play. But not easy for him to say, hey, babe, do you want to go to dinner? Just me and you this Friday night. Why, though? Why? Why is it easier to go out with your friends than your partner?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And it starts off with his wife not being open and communicating her needs, wants, and boundaries. She's obviously not a very open person. She should say, hey, you always go out with your friends every month. Why can't we go out? Ask him the question. She thought there was something wrong, which indicates to me that that's been like that for a long time. God knows how long. Probably since the first kid came out.
Which is a very big change dynamically in a family, in a household.
Yeah.
As I said before, that's the problem with suppressing it instead of expressing it.
And I think people are embarrassed. She's embarrassed to ask him, oh, can we go? Because he's not going to want to go.
That's huge, to feel like you can't just just say this is what's happening for me.
That's right.
And it goes both ways. And I think anyway, part of this podcast and part of what we talk about around awareness is to let guys know that just because you think, you know, they say no news is good news. Well, that's not always the case. It's when, you got to be aware and just be alert of the fact that if no news, that could also be a red flag of something's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Why don't you, instead of no news, say, I actually know the news. I know that she's going through this. I know that we've got this challenge in our life now, but we're on the same page. Rather than the assumption of, no, man, she's all good. She looks after the kids. We've got money.
But if you know your partner, it will help you support him rather than just blaming him or her. So if you were to ask him, and try this tonight, ask him to ask his wife and say, oh, how come you don't ask me to go out or to do anything? And just see his reply. See the reply that she gives him and then see what he tells you.
What do you think she'll reply?
So, and I don't know them from a bar, so
yeah,
I think
just call
that
them.
she is just insecure about herself. Obviously, I don't know the type of person she is, so what her attachment style is, but she doesn't want to upset her husband. So his biggest problem is first that he gives her what he thinks she needs. He doesn't give her what she needs or what she wants. What my wife needs is to stay home and take care of the kids and me to pay all the bills. That's in his head. He should be asking her, what do you need? What are your boundaries? Are there any issues I can sort for you?
How can I support you?
How can I support you? But she obviously is stuck in a rut and says, oh, my husband works hard, provides everything for us. I'm not going to complain.
Wow. Don't you feel like you've heard that
Yeah.
many times over?
In 90% of relationships. especially the longer the marriage goes on. That's what they feel like.
I know the person you meet is not the same person you marry. And the person you marry
definitely not
is not the same person you parent with.
Definitely not.
And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it as a negative connotation. I'm saying that people evolve, people grow. And sometimes if you don't give oxygen to their growth, that's when shit starts to go pear-shaped.
Yeah, we should be supporting that person. But again, if you do no self-work, then you can't help anyone else.
And it starts with you.
Yeah, so if you're both just stuck in that, I go to work, I provide, I pay the bills, she's just going to stay home and take care of the kids. What quality of life is that for anyone? You know, it's dog shit. It's what everyone does. Like, my dad hardly left the house. Still, his whole life, hardly left. Doesn't take my mum out. Last week, my mum told him, we've been together 40 years. I want to go out to lunch. So me, Sahara, my mum and my dad went out for lunch. But he would never say to her, hey, it's our 40 years. Do you want me to take you out? Because my mum is very open. She said to him, we're going out. I want to go out. So he left the house.
And that's after 40 years of marriage?
40 years. You know?
So some things don't change, right?
No.
It's not to say, old school, new school. There are certain things just that are wired.
That's how he thinks, and you can't change that. And he's not someone who's ever going to work on himself. He has changed as a person compared to when I was a child, yeah. When I was a kid, teenager, now I'm a man. Yeah, he's changed a lot, but his thought process is the same. What I need to take her out for? I'm married, she's my wife. I worked hard. Look, this is everything she's got. You know, doesn't stop and think, hey, you know what? 40 years together with the same person. What an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
It's a big milestone. How about I take her out for some dinner or lunch? It doesn't even have to be dinner. Go to sleep early. You mention it.
Yeah.
There's no way.
And scale that back to 40 years, 20 years, 10 years, 1 year.
Yeah.
For no reason at all.
Yeah.
Going back to that story that I spoke to you about with my friend, I said to him, mate, if you just took your wife out, 2 weeks later he rang me and he said, mate, she was asking me like, what the fuck's going on? Is everything okay? Or do we have money? Did you lose your job? She was so skeptical of like, what the fuck is he up to? He's like, look, and you know, I sort of told him a few things that he can, like I suggested that he could talk about. And I just said, look, just don't talk about the kids. Like as much as you've got plenty to talk about with the kids, just don't be an ass licker. Like don't come on like a salesman, but just ask her how she's going. She's like, really? Fuck, I've never asked that question. I'm like, just because you never have doesn't mean you never will.
Yeah.
Or you never can.
Or you never should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, aside from, you know, I'm not going to get him in trouble, but aside from the fact that he said he had a real enjoyable sexual experience that night because he was in the good books, he said, I was almost in tears because she couldn't believe that he asked her that. Yeah. And he goes, I didn't know what the fuck to do because she's like semi-crying. I thought, what the fuck? Like, what's going on here? And they spoke for that half an hour they were out. And she was very appreciative that he asked, how is she? One question. And now,
treat her like she's your best friend.
And she's like, have you never asked me that before? And then she expressed all of these things that is happening for her. And I just said, just shut up and listen, man. Just active listening. Yeah. Listen. I mentioned that last time and I love the phrase. Don't listen to respond. Listen to understand. So powerful. You said before, two-way communication is a two-way street. Just as much as you can talk, you've got to listen to. And now, since then, that was about a month ago, they're going out once a week.
Yeah, see? From that one bit of advice he took from you, it's going to change his whole relationship. Because now he's prioritizing open communication, support, self-care with his partner, and now he can build a stronger foundation. It's it can get to the point where it was like how you met when you were 20 years old.
Yeah.
Because
And that's
now,
how it should be.
Yeah, now they can be best friends. You know what I mean?
Well, they're gonna open up. They've been talking a bit better business that she wanted to open up, like do on the side. So now they're going to do a business venture. I'm like, that's fucking awesome, man.
That 30 seconds of your self-work has rubbed off onto someone else who now has put that person and their relationship in a better position.
And that's what this is all
that should
about.
feel amazing.
100%. And I don't want to take credit for it because ultimately he did it.
Yeah, he did it. Yeah,
but for me, it was just a perspective offer of what if you thought of it this way? Yeah. And everything is perspective, right? And what is perspective? Perspective is someone's worldview, and you can't change that. And that's one thing that I've learned. My opinion on something, you can influence me, but you can never change how I feel about it.
Yes.
And the harder someone tries to work to change your perspective, the further away your connection is.
Yeah.
Picture that in a marriage. Honey, I want to go on a holiday. No, fuck that. We've got money. We've got this. All she's asking for is 3 days a week to not have to cook, clean, wash.
Yeah, that's right.
A holiday. She asked for a holiday. He's gone, fuck, I'm not going to Europe. What if it was to Wollongong?
Yeah.
You just have to open your mind up. As I said before, about the mind and the parachute, right? Same story. Just look at something through someone else's eyes, through a different lens.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's incredible what you can find. But continuing on with that, communication. A couple of the guys that I've spoken to, and that gentleman included, it's just being present. Can we talk about present for it? We'll wrap it up with presence.
Yeah.
Presence with CE, not with TS, not gifts. How important is presence? We spoke about it with, you talked about your daughter last time, and I said how different of a relationship I have now because I'm sitting and spending time with the girls, not just being in the same house, but being in the same presence.
Yeah. And I saw a video of a guy and he did the same thing with his 3-year-old holding him, but 2 different situations. The first situation was, and I went for a minute, so he's cut it down. He did everything with his phone in his hand, on his phone, while holding his kid.
I saw that.
And the kid's face. Then he did the same thing again, but when he's present, talking to his child without the phone. It was like a different kid.
Different kid. That's crazy.
Unbelievable. That the being present and how much it can change and reflect someone's outlook. To me, that's mind-blowing. And I watched that video like 2 or 3 times. I was like, the kid hasn't smiled once. Hasn't laughed. His facial expressions was...
lit up.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, my dad's here. Not my dad's just there. You know?
Have you seen the video where they interview parents and they say, if you could have dinner with one person in the whole wide world, who would it be? And the parents are like, fucking Elvis, Michael Jackson, Donald Trump, all these, celebrities, big shots. And then they interviewed their kids separately. If you could have dinner on your own with one person in the whole world, who would it be? Mum and dad.
Wow.
And then the parents were shown the videos and they crumbled.
That's crazy.
How's that for a fucking perspective?
That's crazy.
I asked my kids just randomly one day, if you could have dinner with one person in this whole world, who would it be? And my older one said, you, Dad. I tried it. I cried. I'm like, holy fuck. Yeah. That's the repayment to how you show up for your people.
Yeah.
That is fuck that. Yeah, it's getting me emotional, but like that video I watched, I'm like, holy fuck. See how one person views you and how you see something completely different? Yeah. I'm sure it didn't even cross their mind to have dinner with their kid.
No,
I'm not saying they're bad parents, but I'm just saying, look how much...
That's the difference in the way they were thinking compared to their kids, right?
Yeah.
And the kids wouldn't have even buckled. It's like
Split
that.
second.
Oh, my mum and dad. My mum and dad.
Yeah.
But you would be like, who's more famous? Who's got more money? You know?
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, parenting, I think we've spoken briefly on parenting. We'll leave parenting for another episode because surely we're going to do a handful or more.
At least 20, 30.
No doubt. Well, look, and I haven't done this very often, but we're going to reach out to you, and I'm looking at the camera for the first time, which is awkward as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys have any questions or any topics that you want us to talk about, again, we preface that we are not professionals, but we're talking through life experience and through, just seeing things for in first-hand experience. Reach out, message, whatever,
Either shoot us an Instagram DM.
Yeah.
We've got our own page on Instagram.
And as cringe as this is to say, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Fuck me drunk.
Got to do it for the algorithm.
For the algorithm. Got to do it for the gram. So yeah, look, we are not building this for a monetary value or monetary gain. This is purely for the love of awareness and just helping. Oh, look, ultimately, you've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. The idea is to be able to share this with blokes and women to some degree because they get to see, I guess, how the man's mind works. But to find a way to be able to raise awareness so then I guess people don't learn from our experience.
Yeah, I mean, if I can help someone not make the same mistakes I made, that's a win to me.
It's a win, 100%, because it's not easy. And if you can help your fellow brother, friend, cousin, whatever, I think that's, it's nice. It's a nice thing to do.
Definitely.
And it goes a long way. And I think it also helps the next generation. One thing that I have heard and I love is the fact that if you've grown up in a particular way, and obviously childhood trauma is a big thing, if you just parent the same way you were parented, then all you're doing is just passing on a generation of that pattern and habit. Whereas if you can break the mold, like your height mold, because I remember the last time it was your dad telling you get off the fence.
Yes.
So you've broken that mold now.
Yeah.
So your daughter's going to grow up climbing fucking trees.
Yeah. Oh, she's got no fear already.
No fear.
Yeah.
Why put that fear in them?
Yeah.
So if we can break the mold and parent better to allow our kids to live more freely and have inner peace, then your future generation is going to look a lot brighter than being scared of climbing the fence, which means they can't get on a Ferris wheel. They can't do the Harbour Bridge that you're going to do next week. In fact, why don't we say that if this YouTube video, because we'll put it on YouTube, if it gets 500 views,
I'm going to go and do it.
You're going to go do the Harbour Bridge climb.
Deal?
Oh, fucking on.
Deal.
I'm going to call everyone.
Deal.
All right. And we'll get it recorded.
Yeah. We'll go do it together.
No, I said you're going to go. Look, I've done it, but you know what? Fuck it. For the sake of it, I'll do it too.
Yeah. All right.
Is that a deal?
Deal.
All right. Fuck, that's a 2 episodes in and we're already making deals. That's fucking gold. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up.
That's it.
We want to try and keep
listening. Hope it was as good as it was for you guys. Obviously, we enjoy making these videos. Hopefully, you can get some insight in anything, even if it's something that's this big.
Yeah, man.
If I could change your mind about a way that you're feeling or something you wanted to do.
Just offer another perspective.
Yeah, any inspiration.
That's what it's all about, man. As you said, just the smallest chunk if you can take from this and go, if I adopt that to my own life, it'll be a better life. Yeah. And we don't want credit or we don't want the pat on the back. It's purely just a value add.
That's right.
And it's a perspective shift. No pun intended, pun intended.
Beautiful.
Anyway, we're on Instagram. We're not on Facebook, but we're on Instagram. We're going to be on Spotify soon. Yep. And we're on YouTube. @Perspective Shifted. Thanks very much. Thank you, sir.
No worries.
I'll see you on the next one.
Okay.